Agbanyeghị atụmatụ ọjọọ niile nke ndị iro iwe nye anyị ndụ ala nke dị ndụ n'ụbọchị nke taa anyị wee na-asị na ịja mma niile otu niile dịrị aha nsọ gị onye ọ bụ naanị ya ka ike niile na ọ gbadara aka ya anyị wee na-akpọku gị na-asị gị na nke ọma anyị ga-ekele gị nke ọjọọ ma anyị kelee gị anyị wee na-aja gị mma wee na-eto gị wee na-asọpụrụ gị n'isi ụmụ gị niile bụ ndị ikwu ndị wee ezi oku mgbe a kpọrọ ha ka ha wee chekwaa ala nsọ gị bụ Biafra onye nwe m na Chineke na ihe ikwuru anyị nkwa na o mekataghị ka ndị iro wee were ala nsọ Biafra onye nwe m na Chineke na nke bi n'igwe agbanyeghị atụmatụ ọjọọ niile nke ndị iro ma ndị na-agba mgbọgba ebe niile dị iche iche onye nwe m na Chineke nna ihere bụ nke ndị dị etu a n'ụbọchị nke taa anyị wee na-etoghị wee na-asị onye nwe anyị na Chineke nna nke pụrụ m ihe niile onye ọ bụ naanị ya na-azọpụta onye ọ bụ naanị ya bụ okwu ya niile bụ ihe na amen anyị wee na-asị ezi ebube dị ngọzi na n'otuto na-eja mma na nsọpụrụ site n'ebighị ebi ma ruo n'ebighị ise ise ise.
Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much. And remember, in this channel, we speak up for the people who have been oppressed in the contraption called Nigeria. We speak up about everything that is happening in the contraption Nigeria, setting the record straight. We don't paint things the way they are not. We say it the way it is. We don't try to change the situation. We don't try to tell you lies. We tell you the truth. And we are not preaching hate speech. What I am giving out is what you need to hear and what you deserve to hear. We don't preach hate speech. We don't talk against anybody. We say live and let live. And for those who say we will not live, just like the Fulani Janjaweed have said, they will not live either. We are standing here stronger than ever. Please share this video. Share the video to all platforms. Share it to your family and friends. Share it to everybody. Let them hear our own side of the story. Because the conventional media will not tell the story the way it's going to favor us. They will not tell the truth. They will always play to the tune of the government. But we set the record straight on social media. That is what we're doing. That is why you have to play your own role with your own platform, no matter how small, no matter how big. Speak about what is happening in your own area. If you see something, say something. Don't be silent. If you're silent, you are exposing yourself to danger. Speak up so that the world will hear our voice. We are going to take our victory, take our freedom by ourselves. Nobody's going to give our freedom to us. We are taking it. After watching the video, please go to the comment section and put your comment down. Put your comment. You can criticize if you so desire, but do it constructively so that we can be able to learn from one another. That is why we are here. We are in trouble in the country called Nigeria. We are in deep mess. The contraption called Nigeria, as I always say, is not meant to be a country. That was a company. It is a company. When you say it, people seem not to understand what we are saying. It wasn't meant to be a country. It's a company. A company run by Britain for their own selfish interests and not for you and I. Nigeria was not meant to be a nation. These are different nations that were forced together by force because they wanted to run their own company. And when they left, some people stupidly received that very company as a country. They sold us out. They sold the indigenous people of that country called Nigeria. They sold them out. Britain sold them out. Today we are being handed over to the Janjaweed, to Fulani Caliphate, and now they want to take our land by force, by killing us. That is why we are speaking up on a daily basis, and we'll say no to that. The One Nigeria fraud have ended. Our Supreme Namaste Nnamdi Kanu have ended the One Nigeria fraud. If you are still calling yourself part of the One Nigeria, that means you are setting yourself up for suicide. Go ahead and kill yourself. But for those of us who want our children to survive, we will continue to speak and continue to speak up. Standing on that foundation that our Supreme Namaste Nnamdi Kanu have led, that is where we are standing. We are not part of whatever you call One Nigeria or whatever. What we are calling is the breaking up of that company called Nigeria. We break that company up so that every indigenous tribe will go back to basics. Go back and build a nation they can be proud of. That is what we are talking about. And when we tell you that Nigeria was never meant to be a nation, some people think it's a joke. When we tell you that Nigeria was never meant to be a nation, some people don't believe it. They think it's a joke. Nigeria was never planned to be a nation. Nigeria is a company. It was a company. and still remains a company. And the company was not to benefit you and I, the company was to benefit the British. The British formed this company called Nigeria. And some people, for their selfish interest, for reasons that I don't know, decided to transform it into a country without the consent of the indigenous people of that very contraption. And today people are embracing it. And for those of you who don't know the reason why we are saying this and think that it's a joke, I want you to watch this video closely to know the history of how your Nigeria came about and why you are suffering. And the reason why you must ask for the breakup of this very contraption. This is an evil entity called Nigeria. Watch this video keenly and closely.
Down to the coast and the swamps of the river Delta.
It was early 1800s when news started filtering in of fortunes to be made somewhere in the dark continent. Companies were formed and business expeditions initiated. Like any business, it had its teething problems. There were violent skirmishes with locals, treacheries, betrayals, hostile takeovers, mergers and acquisitions, and eventually the British company known as the Royal Niger Company emerged. No price was too much to pay for a monopoly over this business. Competition was killed off by lowering prices on the case of King Jaja of Opobo, who had set up his own trade network and was shipping palm oil into Britain. He was lured onto a British warship and shipped into exile on charges of obstructing commerce. It was, however, impossible for this company to hold its own against the state-supported protectorates of France and Germany, and so the British government initiated a hostile takeover by revoking the Royal Niger Company's charter, which had granted them exclusivity over their business interests and enabled them to raise funding. The Royal Niger Company was thus forced to sell all its business and all its assets, which included the territories and peoples in it, for the sum of £865,000 to the British government. The British government executed a quick merger of the small Niger Coast Protectorate, which they already controlled, with the newly acquired territories and called them the Protectorates of Northern and Southern Nigeria. They eventually rebranded again and called the new company Nigeria. We, who were first called a business, are now called a people. But the same spirit of lies, cheating, stealing, get-rich-quick, fortune-hunting, slavery, land and power grab, which reigned in the Royal Niger Company, still reigns in the company or people called Nigeria. And Jabez was more honorable than his brethren, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bear him with sorrow. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, Oh, that thou wouldest bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, and that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. And God granted him that which he requested. The constant ringing of the phone 3 nights ago woke me up, and my agitated doctor friend just launched into his business without realizing he had interrupted my sleep. He said he felt he was under a spiritual attack or curse, which he suspects is what also happened to his father, who was an accountant. According to him, his father worked very hard all his life, made money, but the money just seemed to disappear as soon as it came. He said the same thing was happening to him now, as he made an average of £16,000 every month, but perpetually relied on his credit cards every month to survive, as the money he made disappeared as soon as it came. I tried to reason with him that it probably had to do with the expenditure pattern, but he disagreed, saying he was sure he had inherited his father's curse or spiritual problems. The short passage of scripture I read earlier about Jabez came to the attention of millions of Christians following the publication of the book The Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkinson, in which he encouraged Christians to pray the way Jabez did. Jabez's sole qualification in his resume is the prayer he made to the God of Israel, which was answered. The most interesting thing about his story is that we must rely on just 2 verses of scripture to understand who this man is and why his prayer was answered. Beyond his prayer being answered, Ezra, the writer of Chronicles, was tracing genealogy back to Adam and talking about the main stories of the Old Testament and the characters involved. You see, the tribe of Judah had been in Babylonian captivity for 70 years as a punishment for idolatry and disobedience to Yahweh. So the writer was trying to remind them of who they were, their origins, and why they shouldn't give up hope. Then the genealogy is abruptly interrupted to talk about Jabez and his prayer. Before his prayer, he is introduced as being more honorable than his brothers, and that his mother called him Jabez because she bore him in sorrow. Jabez means pain, grief, sorrow. Why would any mother give her child that name? Some have suggested that it was a painful pregnancy. Others have said she had him outside of marriage, since she was the one naming him in a tradition that saw men giving names to their children. Why will she extend her pain to her innocent son? You see, names are important. They are spiritual and prophetic. So you can imagine that anytime his name was called, you prophesy pain and remind him of sorrow. This was his life. A life of awful experiences through no fault of his. He couldn't help who he was or how he acted, because it seemed his life of misery and pain was assured. So he said a prayer of deliverance. The prayer was simple but deep. He said, God, bless me abundantly and enlarge my vision of myself so that I can see myself the way you see me. He also said, lay your hand of guidance on me so that when you bless me, I don't run away because I know my character. And finally, he said, keep me away from evil. He didn't say keep evil away from me. No. He knew the curse on his life that always led to self-destruction. He always sought out what caused him pain and grief. Evil didn't have to look for him. He looked for evil. Hence he said, keep me away from evil, from self-destruction. He said, don't let me harm myself. A most honest and powerful prayer of deliverance. Yahweh answered him. What label are you wearing today that is destroying you? Is it the destructive spirit behind the creation of Nigeria, so that when they call you Nigerian, people see you as corrupt, as someone who will sell his soul for money? Is it the spirit that says we can never unite as a people because we are first and foremost a business? It may be divorce, depression, bankruptcy, addiction, mental illness, impotence, barrenness, rape. Or you might just be as innocent as Jabez and you have been born with a name, a curse, a nationality that makes life harder for you. It all ends today. Where you have been doesn't have to determine where you end up. What you are called doesn't have to be who you are. Your story doesn't have to define you anymore. Jabez was called pain, but the more the pain, the more the grief. Your pain or misfortune is a stepping stone to your blessing. In this company called Nigeria, you can either be an asset or a liability. It's your decision.
After watching this video, if you are not yet convinced, that means there's something wrong with your brain. Go and make your own inquiry. Go and make your own research. Go and look up, what is this Nigeria that you are being called by name? What is this Nigeria that you are defending? How did it start? Who formed it? How did it come about? What is the origin of this very Nigeria that you are defending? Go and make inquiry for yourself. After your inquiry, you might begin to have a different rethink. If you are sincere and reasonable, you might begin to have a rethink. You might begin to see more reason why you ask for a breakup. You will begin to fight more than we are doing now. Go and make your research. Don't be lazy about this. The Nigerian government have made sure that people do not know their history. That is one of the things they are using to hold the unborn children and hold the young ones down. But in this generation, in 21st century, every information is in your palm. That smartphone you are holding is not just for making calls, it's not just for fun. Your smartphone gives you everything you need to know in a second. Just click on Google, type it in, it will tell you what you need to know. Every information is there. Everything that you need to know to open up your brain so that you can begin to ask for the disintegration of this evil entity. They are there. And if you're not yet satisfied, I'm going to still help you out to play a video that was made by one of our activists, Showore. How Showore described the entity Nigeria and their force they are using, their police and army. After listening to him, because some of us are so lazy that they can never make inquiry. After listening to Showore, you might begin to understand why you have to call to an end to this entity. Because nothing will change. They will never ever change the constitution. Because the constitution is supporting evil, is putting food in their table, making them to put you under their foot. They will never change the constitution. They will never. And the police and army that they are sending after you, they can never change it. You see the NSAS that just ended. The NSAS ended, people did the commemoration. Up to now, did you see anything change? Nothing changed. Instead, they are getting worse. Things are getting worse. Listen to Showore. Maybe you begin to see the reason why you should ask for the end of Nigeria and not any talking of any better Nigeria. Let's hear from him.
The police was never designed to protect the Nigerian people. You should go and read about the history of Nigerian police. It was set up by the Royal Niger Company as the Royal Niger Constabulary in 1900 to protect the interests of the British. At the time, it was called the Hausa Constabulary. At the time, it was called the Southern Nigeria Constabulary. There used to be a Northern Nigeria Constabulary before it became the Nigerian Police Force. And by that time, it has cemented its image as a protector of the status quo. So for us to get a police that will really work for us today, we might need to dissolve this current police force and remove the word force and make it a Nigerian Police Commission or department, because their career is rooted in violence and oppression. Their history and their establishment is rooted in oppression of poor people, is rooted in protection of very important personalities, VIPs. Everything they are doing today is to protect the VIPs against the masses. So it doesn't matter how many times you protest in their support. This police can never change except you change Nigeria itself.
That is the situation. Even though our brother Showore is playing his own role to wake up people, when he's talking about revolution, revolution is to change the whole status quo, change everything. Showore is using that language, revolution. It's a very strong language. I was thinking about it and I can use that same language, revolution. But Showore is trying to play safe. I don't blame him. He is in Nigeria. They have stopped him from moving out to Abuja. He is in captivity in Abuja. He can't even move out. You see what they did to him when he went to attend to our student members in the Kano court day. They almost killed him. He is playing his own part, doing what he knows how to do best. That is what I expect every other activist in Nigeria to begin to do. Not making noise, not demonizing those who are fighting for their freedom. Showore is not demonizing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He's not talking down on anybody that is fighting for his or her freedom. He is speaking up for that which is right. Speaking up for everybody. In his own way, using his own method. Instead of talking against him or demonizing him, why not use your own, apply your own method? That is the instruction our National gave. If you know anything you can do to bring Biafra, go and do it and stop talking against your fellow Biafrans. If you know anything you can do to make sure our Supreme Leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released, go and do it and stop talking against those who are doing something. If you know anything that you will do to make sure that indigenous tribe in Nigeria have a say and they begin to live as human beings, go and do it and stop talking against those who are doing something. That is the way to go. May Chukwu Okike continue to bless us, and may Chukwu Okike continue to bless our mothers. Our mothers who are standing up on daily basis asking for whereabouts of their son. Our mothers, the Umuada in United States. The Umuadas in the United States, they are not just ranting, they are not just speaking, they are doing things that every eye can see. You can deny it for all I care, but for those of us who have eyes, we can see. And may Chukwu Okike Abiama continue to guide and protect them, secure them, and fight their enemies. Those who are fighting against the Umuadas, Chukwu Okike Abiama is going to take them out. We don't have their time. They are fighting against Chukwu Okike Abiama, and Chukwu Okike Abiama knows the way to take them out. That is why we are not bothered about that. May Chukwu Okike Abiama guide and protect our Sudan Mazin Nanikano. May Chukwu Okike Abiama bring our Sudan Mazin back to us. May Chukwu Okike Abiama secure him, give him good health, give him more revelation, and bring him back to us very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching wherever you are watching from. And remember this. Bye-bye. See you again on the next video.